Hello, welcome to Jazz Is
Jazz's
MasterClass series
at the National Jazz Museum. At the National Jazz Museum in Harlem.
I am Sekou McMillan, the curator of special projects.
My name is Albert Marquès. Zach O'Farrell.
My name is Shirazette Titten.
And we are in conversation with the legendary Bertha Hope. Jazz could only have happened here in America.
The key to everything was the radio.
So this world is too dense. 15 minutes isn't enough to cover it all.
Are you ready? I am.
And helps in this process of healing the pain while also directly fighting for freedom. When we play, this is part 3, Freedom First, Present and Future. I just came back, in fact, from playing with and for Keith Lamar in Europe. And when we started all of this, without any permits and just playing on the street, we had no idea. We would have never imagined that this would have ended in the New York Times, in TV channels, with press in Asia and Latin America. So this proved to me once again, and I hope it proves to everybody else, the power of jazz, the power of music to make a change in the world. When the album came out, Keith told me, thanks to music, my story is out there. Until then, the state of Ohio had explained his story, but he had not been able to express himself. The goal of all of this is to liberate him. A few months ago, we played in a venue in New York City called Joe's Pub, and there was a lawyer in the audience that was very moved. It's a very moving concert to hear somebody talking about life and death from death row, about systemic racism in such a personal way, and that's why it's so powerful, because it's not abstract. There is somebody looking at you and telling you what have happened to him and what is happening to him. So this lawyer was very touched, and he went to his law firm. I like to explain that story because you will see. He went to his law firm, and the law firm told him that we would have to pay around $1 million to get him out of death row, which I think that already shows a little bit the problem, right? Rich people do not end on death row, after we say that we don't have the money, he created a team of lawyers that got a reprieve. Keith Lamar should be dead. Keith Lamar was scheduled to be executed on November 16th, 2023. He's still with us. And that's a perfect example of how music or jazz maybe does not directly liberate someone, but definitely makes the connections that will lead to that liberation. I also want to say that we have played in so many colleges in the United States, and some law professors and law students, for example, at Northwestern University in Chicago, where we have played twice, are also involved in this team that will help liberate Keith Lamar. When we do the concerts, since we have been playing in a lot of countries where they don't speak English, what we have been doing is that, as you can see in this slide, is that there are subtitles where the audience can read the translations while Keith is live via phone reciting the poetry that he has written. Last year, we were invited to play in Chile, the country, in Santiago de Chile, because it was the 50th anniversary of the coup d'etat that Augusto Pinochet, with the support of the CIA, did against democratically elected President Salvador Allende. It is in this context that they invited us to go to South America to play in an event that would be very meaningful for us, and I want to explain why. It is very common when we do a Freedom First concert to have people from the audience that will come to talk to us. I have to say that probably the most hostile audience we have had is in the United States, in certain states of the United States. In the United States, when we play, a lot of people come to talk to me, for example, to express that they have also family members, brothers, fathers, sons who are currently in prison. Some of them also wrongfully convicted. And I always wonder if going to such a concert triggers something that just makes it worse for the audience. They assure me that that's not the case, that the fact that we're publicly talking about this topic and that we're doing it creating beauty, because art at the end is creating hope, is creating beauty. It's in fact empowering and helps in this process of healing the pain while also directly fighting for freedom. When we played in Santiago de Chile, there was in front of 500 people in a concert outdoors. There were many people crying, many people, especially people who are like in their 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. Some of them came to talk to me, and they explained that so many of them, during the dictatorship, they had family members that were executed by the regime. The death penalty in that case had a direct impact, and it was very moving. I think that what I really like about what happens when we play in the United States is that there's a sense of humanity. There's a sense of humanity. Human beings are connected, and we're doing it through jazz. I mentioned before that in certain places of the United States, it has been a more hostile audience. I've heard many questions. One of them is like, why would a white Hispanic guy why would a white Hispanic guy be doing this with a black man in Ohio? What am I trying to gain for this? Or a lot of people have asked me within the jazz world too. What if he was guilty? I want to make it clear that I'm against the death penalty in all cases, even when people are guilty. Some people has insulted or made more aggressive comments. But there was this man when we played once in Ohio that came to me, and we played in a jazz club in Akron, Ohio, and he was an old white man who was at the end of the club, and he came and he said, I came to this concert and I wanted to criticize it. He said that he thinks that jazz and activism and social justice should never be mixed. He thinks that it's a way that to pollute this music in a way, to lose its pure state. It's an argument. And he said, but I think that what you're doing is not political. You're simply trying to make us, the audience, empathize with this man. I loved it. That's truly what we are trying to do. Kid Lamar is from Cleveland, Ohio. We have played twice. This picture that you're seeing now is from a few months ago, playing at the Cleveland Museum of Art. We also played at the Bob Stump, and it was a particularly meaningful concert because his childhood friends and his family were able to attend. We have played with Freedom First in front of really big audiences. The picture that you're seeing here, for example, it was in front of 600 people. And I find it incredibly powerful that jazz and a spoken word can move that many people all over the world. On September 2023, to celebrate the reprieve that gave Kid 3 more years, now his execution is scheduled for January 2027. We recorded a new album that we will call Live from Death Row. And we had a sold-out show at Shapeshifter Lab in Brooklyn. And we have been able to do all of this without a budget, as I said, sometimes without permits. More than 70 musicians have been involved by now. And the reason why we've been able to do all of this is because so many people helped us. In this case, Matthew Garrison, who is the son of Jimmy Garrison, John Coltrane's bass player, offered not only to play with us, he had done it before too, but he offered to do it in his jazz club. And all these kind of social justice movements always involve so many people. If anybody who is watching this ever considers doing any of these things, don't wait for the grants. Don't wait for the money to arrive. Do it. Do it. You will figure it out later. Having a campaign to liberate somebody who is incarcerated costs a lot of money. One of the main reasons why Freedom First was created was a way to raise money for the campaign. All the money we sell in merch goes to the Justice for Kid Lamar campaign. In fact, there were 21 musicians involved in the album, some of them very well known, such as Arturo Farrell, for example, or Nick Hakim, or Samora Pinderhuge, Adam O'Farrell, so many, Roy Nathanson, and they didn't get paid. And all the money that we make selling the album goes to Kid Lamar. When we do concerts, when we were doing a street protest, nobody was making any money. When we do concerts and we're on tour, we pay a little bit to all the musicians, a little bit to myself, but most of the resources do go to the campaign. There are a lot of things that have to be paid that go from helping trips to the lawyers to paying for making new t-shirts, like helping the lawyers if they need help. This is from the concert we did in Brooklyn, the image that you are seeing. And during that song called Calling All Souls, when I write the music and he writes the spoken word, he says, on paper, he and I shouldn't have anything in common. It is precisely the fact, I think, that I'm an immigrant in the United States, that he is an American, that we're doing this, that makes these kind of collaborations really powerful. In the first part, we talked about the creation of a strange fruit. You had a white man, a Jewish man from New York City, that wrote a poem that would end becoming one of the most important songs of the century, thanks to the interpretation of Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, and many others. Working together, different people from all over the world, it's what creates such powerful initiatives to make, I think, this world a better place. In this picture, you can see when we were in Berlin, Germany, 2 years ago, the City Hall of Berlin gave us an award for the first album in history made partially by someone on death row. And the next picture that you're seeing is when Time Out magazine gave us also an award for this innovation.